What's up, everyone? It's Dito D. Welcome back. I just wanted to say thank you very much for everyone who subscribed, and I hope you're enjoying the content. I wanted to talk about Heart Eyes now, the 2025 Valentine's Day horror movie. And is it a horror movie or is it a comedy? I don't know. I mean, it was very playful. The movie is about Valentine's Day killer who attacks couples, but will definitely kill anybody that gets in their way of trying to kill these couples. Now, you start off with a young lady who has this job that, well, I mean, I suppose she's doing okay, but she's having a hard time, relationship wise. And so it affects her work. And then because of the work she's doing at this advertisement company, the project she turns in, it just so happens to be something that the company doesn't want because there's this killer out there. And her project kind of highlighted uh, the bad side of romance. We'll say that. So in comes this guy who's there to help out with the company, and they get together to work on this project. They decide to do it over dinner one night or that night. Now, I want to say the guy who plays Jay, Mason Gooding, I believe he was the standout in this movie. He was my favorite character to watch. I thought that Olivia Holt, who plays Allie, she did a good job too. But like I said early on, is the movie a horror movie or is it a comedy? Because early on, a lot of the characters come across as very cartoonish and goofy. And at first you're thinking, um, I don't know what I've gotten into here or if I'm gonna really enjoy it, but I'll give it a chance. You have some familiar faces like Jordana Brewster and is it Sawa? Devin Sawa? I don't see his name on the list, but he's in the movie and it's nice to see them. The movie itself reminds me of another Valentine's movie that I watched, which was Love Hurts. Now, Love Hurts was an action type of comedy. This was more like horror comedy. I can say that overall, the kill scenes were decent. They were decent in the movie. If you're watching it for that, you're definitely going to get something out of it. The characters at first, though, like I said, came across as a little cartoony, and you might be on the fence about how you feel about the movie at first. But I think if you give it a chance, you might find it to be a solid watch. Some of the friends and other characters in the movie, they don't shine as much as they probably could, but I don't doubt that everyone that was in the movie could actually act very well. And so the fact that they were able to pull off these goofy characters, I think that was, you know, uh, I think that showed their talent. The chemistry between the two characters was believable, very believable, and that's what made the story likable. Like I said, it reminded me of Love Hurts, and in that movie, it wasn't believable. The chemistry between the two characters. In fact, I gave that movie a score that I feel like I was being very generous with that movie, and I was generous because of who was in it, and not necessarily everything that was going on. And so that's kind of a fault there. I feel like that movie probably actually scored a little lower than what I said that it did. This movie here, I probably would put somewhere around, if you're a horror fan and you kind of know what you're getting into from this review of the movie, then I would put it somewhere in the neighborhood of about a 6.5. It's a decent watch. It's good production. Um, the the dialogue is fine, other than the goofy characters. That kind of takes you out of it a little bit because you're expecting to see some kind of down to earth horror movie, but that's not really what this is. It's very playful, but the main characters do shine and they're fun to watch. It's fun to watch them run around and try to evade this killer. and you're trying to figure out the whole time who's behind this mask and who's doing what. And I myself pretty much figured it out midway through, because if you're familiar with these kinds of stories, you kind of understand how the mystery will unfold, because horror movies often do this. Okay. So I don't want to say much more than that. But I can say, like I said, 6.5. It's a good watch. I think you'll have a good time. And there's a moment in the movie where Jay yells something at the killer. Okay. And it just had me rolling. All right. I was laughing my ass off, because the fact that he said that, I was like, now that was some real shit. Okay. That's how you really would be feeling at that time. So I would say go ahead and give it a watch if it's been on your radar. If you've been thinking about checking it out, definitely give Heart Eyes a chance. I do believe there's a potential for a sequel, you know, and if this movie does well, then we absolutely will get one. So, yeah, Hard Eyes. I enjoyed it for what it was, and I think you can too. So, check the movie out, and if you already have, tell me what you think down in the comments, and we'll talk. You guys, take it easy.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy V-Day!
Get killed, all right?
What was...
Why would he say that?